The duck is back. I think it was a couple of days ago, or a day ago or so. I'd done a video on, what was it, on my theory on how the oil reservoir gravitates its oil back down through the oil pump and fills up the engine. So basically what I spoke to the owner and he said, oh, let's just take the lids off and have a make sure that everything is the way it should be. So that this is what we did. And basically this is what we found. So if you look in here, the first thing I noticed is this. That pipe full of oil. And if you look at the other one, it's got no oil. But so just so you know, this one, this is the engine we're talking about. This one, right? It's an S&S short block, super stock, I should say, short block. So this one. So, oh God, let me get my pointer. Bear with me, I'm so organised as usual. So if you didn't know, this, when the engine pistons come down, it expels the air up through the airway back up into the top of the engine, and then this flutter, see, lifts. It lifts and lets the excessive air out, right? And then when the piston starts going back up again, it closes, right? And this is to stop the excessive oil coming here. And then if oil does come into here, it's got to get to this level before it will run down in here. And this is and I was talking about how the engine was flooding with oil, and that's what I believe is the proof that this engine has been, right? There's the proof. If it hadn't been flooding with oil in the top, there would be no oil in there. It would be dry. Okay, that's the first thing, right? And then we go over to the other side and we find, hello, exactly the same, right? Chocker full of oil. Now these front ones aren't actually connected in here, inside here, right? Not on this model. And S&S must be making plans to make them so that they do vent together, but on this model they don't, right? So I wanted to show you that, because that's bear with me. I wanted to show you that because that proves my theory, what I suspected was happening. And then what happens, what I believe happens, is it takes quite a long time to get that oil out of that gallery, in those air galleries going out of those, over those air galleries. So what I'm going to do is disconnect the breather, which is the one at what joins those two at the top. I'll disconnect them, give them a squirt, give them a blowout, and maybe give them a clean with some brake cleaner or something, and get rid of the oil, because there was actually oil in the air gallery where it had actually been pumping it out through those breathers. So as far as I'm concerned, unless somebody else can tell me otherwise, I think that theory, what I've been saying, has been proven correct. And the other thing I would like to show you is this, you see? And this is the lid off the engine, and you can see that this is the lid what goes over those, where those tubes were, right? And you can see that it's sealed off, right? So the only way that oil, as far as I'm concerned, unless someone can prove it to me some other way, that's the only way that the oil can get there, is that those pistons come down. It's got a gut full of oil, and the pressure into the crankcase is so much it just thumps all the oil up into the rocket boxes, and it's not set up for that amount of trying to get rid of that amount of oil. So it just relieves it straight through the breathers. Anyway, I've just really realised I've forgotten something, what I want to show you. And I'll pause it and I will go and get it. Bear with me. So this is the filter I'm going to use. Says on here K&N Pro. This is a crank filter. It's got to pass the drop test. Okay, and this is the one we're going to use, and then like I said, that's just push that in there. That'll sit in here like so, see? Sorry, looking at what I'm doing or not. This will sit in there like that. So it won't be, okay. So the next thing I wanted to talk to you guys and girls about is that every once in a while, I have, people who want to know how to make stuff, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quick breakdown on how you go about making, so we've got the filter, right? And the filter just can't, if you imagine this is the filter, it can't just sit on that pipe and wobble around like a turd in the, it just can't. So we need to make up an amount to hold it. And this is the idea I came up with it about 2 months ago. Oh, I found it straight away. Okay. So this is the pipe coming out of the sump. I was going to use a crankcase bolt, but now I'm going to use the mounting bolt on the back of the engine, and it'll come up and flow this little bit of pipe here, and then the rubber pipe will go through there, and then the clamp will just clamp the filter, and then the whole lot is just snug in this pipe with the clamp on top, right? So that was probably, like I say, it'd be nearly 2 months ago I came up with that. So what I'm going to do is quickly show you an easy way of manufacturing stuff like that if you're interested, and if you're not sure quite how to do it, I'll show you how I do it. And I'm just going to give you a bit of a quick rundown. Right. So back to school with Duck. Okay. So actually, I think I need to bring that up a bit. Just bear with me. Right. So what you do is you always start out with a square, right? You start out with a square piece of plate. And what I would do in this situation, what I do is I measure roughly the distance across. So our fitting, oh, can you see that down in there? Yeah, you can. So our fitting is going to be like this. See, I'm going to put one around the bolt, out like that, with a hole through it. It's going to be like that. And then I'm going to make this one come up, and it's going to curve like that, and then it's probably going to go something like this, down, back onto here, and we'll join on there, and then I'll just weld it here and on the other side, and this will be where I weld the pipe which the main oil pipe will go through, and then the filter will sit on top here. Okay, and that's the hardest part, is that's the hardest part, is getting a plan and knowing what you're wanting to do, right? And I do this with my imagination, right? And yeah, I don't know how to, I just imagine in my brain how I want. And then I'm going to get inside that engine, and I will measure from where this lug will start. I'll probably make that lug up first, and then I'll measure from that lug to the other side of where I think this needs to be. And I've already measured it. It's roughly about 50 millimeter. Right. Then I would draw a shape There's two ways I do it. I do it on cardboard and then copy the shape out onto steel, or I would draw it straight onto the steel. So I would draw the figure like so on the steel, and then I would put some nice curves in it, right? Now, to get these curves here, right, what I normally do is I would drill a hole and make that a circle, you see? So I'm not having to try and cut this circle here, this curve. And the same with here. I would drill a small hole, and I would start out with like a 3mm, 4mm drill, and then I would go bigger until up to the size that I wanted this curve, see? And then it's a simple case of cutting like this here. This here would probably, for the start off, this would just come out to the edge, you see? Same with down here. I've drawn it like that to make it more clearly, but that would be the bottom of the plate, you see? And this is the height, would be the height, and I think I worked it out at 100mm, which is 4" for you Americans, and 50mm here, which would be 2". But this is the easy way. Drill holes, does the curve, and then for the external curve like that, it's a simple case of just doing lines with a steel ruler and a cutoff and a scriber. And if you don't know what a scriber is this thing here, right? And it's for marking steel. And you run that next to a steel ruler, and you just make these lines where you're going to cut, and you put a cutting disc. See, I'd cut all that off pretty much with a cutting disc on a grinder. These ones that I'm using at the moment, these little 4", and they're so thin, they're like 1.5 wide, right? And they work so well, yeah. And I would just cut that all away, and you've got the hole here, and then it's a simple case. You put a ruler down here, right, and you cut it, and then you just run straight down this cutting edge, straight to the circle. You do the same here, straight down here to the circle. And then once you've got 90% of that out, same with here, you see, I would just cut all that off with the cutting disc. Same with here, I'd cut this across here and across here with the cutting disc, you see. And then it's a simple case of holding it in a G-clamp, and a G-clamp in the vise, and then you put your grinding disc on. You've already marked the outside of your shape. Sorry, I forgot one other crucial thing I do. So to get these bigger curves, right, on the outside, what I do is I find something around the same radius, and then I sit that on the steel where I've drawn it, and then I scoot round the outside. I scoot round the outside with the scriber, like so, and I mark the steel. I would do the same down here, mark the steel, and then grind it back to those scribe lines. Same deal. Once I've scribed in the arc from here to here, and like for this hole, the inside, I would find quite often what I use to do these inside ones is sockets, and you hold that on the steel, and then you scribe round the socket, right, to mark it. And then once you've got those curves, right, it's a simple case of connecting the curves with the steel ruler and scribing. Mark it all out with the scriber first, and then away you go. And then cut those with your cutter, and then once you've cut it roughly into shape, then I would go over it with the grinder, get it roughly in the right shape, and then I haven't got any here up in this. Oh yes, I have. And then to clean up in these hole areas here and here, I use these what they call a flat pad. See, it's called a flat pad. Yeah, just I'm having a brain fart now. I can't remember what you call it, but you put it in your air tool or in your electric drill, and then over the years I've got different size ones. As they wear down, you don't throw them away, you keep them. You see, you can see that V here is where I've done exactly. See how that's worn? That's me on something else, and I've gone round the edge, and that polishes the edge on the curve, especially on the inside here, and then you can go around the outside on there, and it polishes it up, and it makes it look grouse. And that's pretty much it. So anyway, I hope this helps if you want to make stuff that. But basically, it comes back to a square thing like this, and then you actually do have a lot of waste. I've worked for so many crowds, and they give you this mongrel bit of plate, and they think you can do this amazing job, but most of the time this looks big. It's only this. It's only going to be this wide and this high, so it's not big. So you can actually waste a bit of material. Well, I do. It's pretty easy. If it's a big piece of plate, I would cut the offcut square. You see, if it was a big piece of plate and I was going to lose too much material, I would cut it straight across up to here, and then I would cut it straight across. So the offcut that comes off is then another good piece of usable steel that you put in. Like, I got a bucket down in the bottom workshop full of little bits like that. I've probably got one this size. I don't even need to cut it. I just go down there and pull it out of my little scrap bin where I keep for offcuts. But anyway, for those of you that are already watching me on YouTube, good on you. Starting to load these up on I think I'm about 2/3 of the way through 2023, and it's loading so much quicker. Yeah. Anyway, I hope this is interesting, and I hope it is helpful. And any questions, just put them up there, or say, or tell me if you don't think what I'm saying is right, or like with that engine, you think I know there's a couple of bike places over in Australia watch me. Like I say, I'm not I've got a lot of information, but I wouldn't say by any means that I'm the beginning and the end of I'm the Harley expert or anything. I'm not. I'm what I'm showing you is what I've learned over the years, what works, what doesn't work, and especially when it comes to those special tools. The tools like doing gearboxes and that is problems what I've found with the Harley manuals and how they set pretty much in a lot of those Harley manuals. They set you up to actually damage your gearbox as you're putting it back together. So anyway, waffling on. Have a good one. Later. Oh, and don't like me. Don't like that. You know it.